I'm doing a parody today. I think you guys, most of my viewers will know who this is. If you don't, uh, you should check her out. Her name starts with Diane. I think that's her name, if I'm not mistaken. I really like her. She tells a lot of rape jokes. So, I thought I'd talk a little bit today about how feminism is turning women into prostitutes. And the way I see that is, it seems like women are pushing for laws to give them, this is why I think it's kind of funny, because they don't even seem to understand what they're doing. They're actually pushing for rights and laws that make it legal for them under any circumstance to get a hold of a man's money for him, even though he's not actually in love with them anymore or associating with them in any way. I pointed out a couple days ago to somebody and told them that something that's going on now is there's these girls who will be with a guy for 8 months or a year, and after 3 months you can be considered common law. Once they break up, she will take him to court and say that they were common law married and she wants money. And they're actually, without even becoming married and walking down the aisle, you can still be considered married. Even there's actually cases in the United States of people being charged and having to take care of women, even though they were dating and not even living in the same household. So even though you're not actually living in the same house, and you're dating a woman for like a year, she can claim in court that she got used to a certain standard of living while she's been with you. And of course you can't ask a woman to be less than she's been in her life. So why would you allow that to happen? Why would you allow a woman to all of a sudden become less than what she's been with some guy? She has to work her way up, not down, right? That's the only way women can go, is up, in our society anyway. So the way I see it, women are turning themselves into prostitutes by saying, as I've told you before, women have nothing to offer but children and sex. So they're basically saying that I'm entitled to your wealth for as long as I deem necessary because I had sex with you. That's their standpoint on it. That I have kids with you, and while I do agree that if you do have kids with a woman, that you should have to pay for the kids, not the wife, because it's amazing how many times you'll hear stories. This happens like at least 50% of the time. The man is told to give the woman money for the children, told to give her way more money than it takes to raise those kids, and then she uses that money to buy herself a new car and to pay for the mortgage on the home and all these things. Because in my feeling, if a woman gets the house in the marriage, then she gets the house. She's got everything. She's got the house, and you give her the car. So maybe you had a Mercedes Benz that you used to drive to work, and the bitch wants to take that and your house. She's got it. She's got the house and she's got the car. So I'm going to pay for the kids, but I'm not going to pay her mortgage. That's her house. It's not my house. She lives in it now. She wanted the house. She's got the house. She's got the mortgage. If I still had 25 years to pay on the mortgage, that's her house. It's not my house. I'm not going to pay for it. But that's what they expect. They expect you to pay for their home. And by doing that, they're turning themselves into prostitutes by saying, if you, it's actually worse than a prostitute, because at least with a prostitute you know that you're going to get sex. Well, they're saying that, like, once I have sex with you 1 or 2 times and I have a couple of kids that pop out, now all of a sudden I'm entitled to your money for as long as I see fit, or until I can find somebody better than you to marry me, because that's the only way you can get out of paying child support. And there's even laws against that as well, where if the woman gets married, you don't have to pay her alimony, but you still have to pay child support, even though she has a new husband that's taking care of your kids. So now she's double dipping, and she's getting even more money. So she's getting other people who used to have sex with her to pay for the new kids, to pay for her kids. And then when she has kids with the new husband, you're also helping pay for those kids too, to take care of her kids. So basically you're just paying to take care of her kids that she's had with you and other people, and this is prostitution. That's all it is. And you're prostituting the man, is how I feel. But you're turning women into prostitutes by making it a relationship only in a monetary sense. That's basically what it is. You're wanting to be with somebody only because the outcome will be monetary, and that's prostitution. But you're making men, like I always say, you're making men into ATM machines. Well, this is the same thing that's going on with this. Is if you are a young man out there and you're watching this video, you need to understand that being with a woman is about the worst thing you can do in your life. Whether you're dating them or whether you're just having sex with them. Because in our climate that we have now, a woman can destroy your life with false accusations and false statements. At any point in your life, you could have only went out with a woman on a date and not even had sex with her, not done anything to her. And she can come back and claim something, and you could end up in jail. And because of the way the system is set up, unless you have a very good lawyer, you can't prove, it's a he said, she said. You can't prove that that's not the case. And you will end up going to jail for a false claim. There's many men right now in jail in the United States that are in jail for false claims. And like I say, they have a way with the feminist system that's been set up since the 60s. They've been getting more and more laws, and they don't understand, as I've been saying, how they're destroying men and how they're destroying the way we live. We can't live anymore without their permission. We can't do anything anymore in a relationship without their permission. We can't exist unless a woman gives you permission. I was talking with a woman the other day about the PC culture, and in our current environment, some of our greatest comedians that have ever came out, people like Red Fox, Red Skelton, Eddie Murphy, and people like that, in our current climate, could never happen, because everything they had said, somebody in the audience or somebody watching them might get offended and start a Twitter war, and pretty soon they're on the ropes. In our current climate, unless you speak about fat people, which somebody did a couple weeks ago, in our current climate, women are the only ones that can get away with stuff like that. And if a man talks in the same way that Red Fox did, or somebody like that from the 70s, if he talks the same way now, they'll be booed off stage. They won't get any laughs. And everything that you think is funny, which typically things that are funny are just, a lot of times, most of the stuff that's funny is funny because it's kind of like a quick thing. It's something that quickly you hear somebody say something and you're like, oh, that's funny. And then later on you go, that was kind of fucked up actually. But it makes you think. And that's what comedy is designed to do. It's designed to make you think about things that you hold true, like religion and feminism and things like that. It's designed to make you think, like, am I really right in believing what I'm believing? Is this really logical? And that's what comedy is designed to do. Good comedy anyways, not bad comedy. But in our current climate, you can't have that kind of comedy. You aren't allowed to have that kind of comedy. You're told you can only do this, you can only say this, you can't say that, you can't say this. And this PC culture is stifling creativity and making it harder for people who are artists, which I consider people who do comedy and TV and movies and stuff like that and YouTubes and stuff. It's stifling creativity. It's making it to where people can't just say something funny that they think is funny. A lot of times comedians, they kind of riff like a rapper, like a freestyle rapper. They just start saying stuff and everything they say is funny. And sometimes they get it bad and sometimes they get it good, but sometimes they get on stage and they'll just riff like that. A guy from Scotland is like that, Billy Colony or something like that. He never does, like, he has some things that he wants to talk about, but he just kind of gets up on stage and just kind of riffs and throws stuff out there. It makes it 15 times harder if when you're riffing, you got to constantly think in your head, oh, I can't say that because people are going to get offended. No, I can't say this. Oh, I can't talk about that because people might get offended. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. And you're that's basically what becomes your life. It's very hard to do comedy or to make a movie or to write a script about a movie when you have to think in the back of your mind, a lot of people are going to get offended by this. A lot of people are going to get offended by this certain point, so maybe I should rewrite it. Fuck that. Don't rewrite it. Put the movie out the way it is. You don't need to worry about fucking ignorant feminist bitches that wanna make you change your art. You know, I say fuck them. You know, do what you're gonna do, and eventually, the cool thing about feminism is they have these fake agendas, and if somebody does come out and say something, they get on a Twitter war. And it's kind of like the thing where it's like the ADHD kids, you know, where they will just, like, it's like 18 hours or 24 hours of just this Twitter storm and all this bullshit going on around what you've said and what you've done, and then they just kind of forget about you and move on to someone else. So I say let them have their little troll fest, and they'll whine and bitch and moan about everything you've done, and then they forget about you. So fuck them. Don't let them bother you. That's how I look at it. I wouldn't let them bother me. I don't give a fuck. I figured in the spirit of this, I'm going to end this with a joke, because you know, we're getting close to Halloween, and I figured I'd do a comedy parody. You know, so. There's a woman, and for the last 40 years she's been getting milk, and she gets 2 gallons of milk every day. Now the milkman knows her by name, and he's had the same milkman for 40 years. One day he shows up to her house in the morning, and there's a note on the milk box that says she wants 40 gallons of milk. And he's a little bit puzzled by this, and he knocks on the door, and she answers, and he says, I've been delivering milk to you for 40 years, and you get 2 gallons of milk every day. What's with the 40 gallons of milk? And she says, oh, well, I read this article, and it said that these milk baths are really good for your skin, and they help with aging, and you know, so I thought I would try it out and see if it worked. And he goes, oh, okay, I see. So, do you want that pasteurized? And she says, no, just over my breasts. So thanks guys for watching. Share, like, and subscribe.